Well, we're going to have a discussion, and let's put this into perspective, a bit of history, because this service was initially used by the U.S. Postal Office and called the Airmail Radio Service, and it was also used to track the movement of reconnaissance aircraft. It then transformed into flight service station, and now air traffic control has become the salient yet unnoticed agent in air navigation. Lately, the air traffic controllers have been complaining about old machinery being used for the service, and also about how the service providers should be decoupled from the regulatory agency. Director Kosam spoke to Samuel Atowusu of the air traffic controllers.
Hi, thanks for your time. Now, their primary duty is to ensure that the airplanes or the aircraft take off and land safely here at the Kotoka International Airport. I'm speaking about the Ghana Air Traffic Controllers Association, GATCA for short. Like every other organization, they have challenges. We'll speak about that. They also have an open day coming up. We'll also talk about that. But before then, I want to ask the Deputy President, Samuel Atowusu, what else they do aside ensuring that the airplanes land here and then take off successfully. Welcome to Joy News. Thanks for joining us on the AM show.
Thank you very much.
So tell us, aside ensuring that the planes take off and land successfully, what else do you do?
Yes, generally, that you've summarized what we do. The landing, departing, and then ensuring the safety of our clients, and that's the aircraft.
But that entails a lot. I want you to take me through the steps.
Yes. First, we have the clients coming in. They file what we call the flight plan, that's the aircraft. And that is their plan for the flight, for the day. So once they file in that with time, telling us the flight level on which they want to get to fly, their destination, and the time they want to depart here. So that is filed into our system. And then when they are ready, that is when we come in. So when they are ready and they start their engines, that is where our work begins. So whilst they are on ground preparing to take off, we take care of that on the taxiway. They get onto the runway and then they depart. So basically that is for those on ground who are to depart. On the other side, when we have some coming in, we have international flights and we have local flights. The local flights are mainly handled by the tower here and the approach control. But when it comes to the international flights, the area control side comes in. But the area control takes control from the boundaries that we share with our neighbors. And then as they come in, they get in close, it's handed over to the approach control. And then from the approach control to the control tower, and then finally it lands. The reverse is the departure. They depart from here, from the tower. The tower hands it over to the approach control. And then if it's an international flight, it goes to the area control. From then, it is handed over to the neighboring sectors.
Now, you speak of boundaries. I know that, yes, we have ports, but when you speak of boundaries in the air, you obviously cannot see them. So what exactly?
Yes, we have the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, has divided the world into blocks, into aviation blocks. And we call these areas flight information regions. So Accra has its boundaries within this. And we are bounded on the north with the Burkina Faso and then Niger on the north side. On the east side, we have Lagos, and then getting further down, we have Libreville. On the west side, we have Côte d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast. And then further down south, going down, we have Angola. So we have our boundaries within which we work, and within these boundaries, that is where we do our control. Once they cross these boundaries, they are handed over whichever direction. Like I said, if it's towards the west, that is the Ivory Coast. Once they get to the boundary, we have our boundaries, we hand it over to them. So it's handed over from boundary to boundary, from boundary to boundary, as well, to their destination.
I want to get an understanding here. So I'm a pilot. I'm taking off from Kotoka International Airport. So when I get to Côte d'Ivoire, you hand me over. Hand me over to who?
Yes. Like I said, the world is divided into blocks. And this Ivory Coast, or we say normally we use the capital of the countries. So we say for Ghana, we say Accra Flight Information Region. When you get to Cote d'Ivoire, we mention Abidjan. So behind you over to Abidjan Control, yes, and they take, and we, as I said, the boundary, we have points at the boundary where we do that transfer. So those are the transfer points. Yeah, those are part of we call that LOAs, letters of LOPs, letters of procedures between the boundary countries. So we have letters of procedure between Ghana and Ivory Coast, with Niamey or Niger, and then with Burkina Faso, same with Lagos. So we have all that with our boundaries. So depending on what the traffic situation is, that is, if one is going to land in Abidjan, at a point we may have to descend the aircraft into Abidjan, depending on the level. If it's not landing and it's going to fly through to Abidjan, we hand it at that level, acceptable to Abidjan. And let me say this, in air traffic control, we have what we call two directions. We only have east and west. We have aircraft going on the west direction, we have it even levels. And then the east direction, we have it odd levels. What do I mean by this? That is, if I say fly level 120, 140, 150, I mean all these are even levels. When I say flight level 130, flight level 110, flight level 150, these are odd levels. So once you have, and these are in opposite directions. Like I said, if it's even, it's on the west. If it's east, it's on the, if it's odd, it's on the east. So if I say let's have Abidjan giving me traffic, that is westerly, eastbound traffic. From Abidjan to Accra, it's eastbound. So you may expect that traffic to give me an odd level. I get in the direction. So he gives the level, say flight level 250. Okay. I have another aircraft departing from Accra to Abidjan. We want to go flight level 280. That will be an even level. But you realize that the one coming in from Abidjan is 250. This 280 will have to go through 250 to get to 280. I get in the picture. So at a point, they will cross. And I will have to ensure that before that crossing point, they are well separated from each other. So that is where we come in. So that's what we mean by the boundary. So before they get to that boundary, they must get to a level acceptable to Abidjan and the vice versa.
When you say before they cross, they will have to get to a level acceptable to both parties, and you have to ensure that they cross well. What exactly do you mean? You mean the feet or the altitude?
Yes. Like I said, flight level 150, that is 15,000 feet above ground level. Flight level 280, 28,000 feet above ground level. Yes, so that is what I mean. So, like I said, the letters of procedure, we have all these levels set for our operations. Yes.
I have been around your premises. I've seen people doing a lot of things. There's somebody in there whose duty it is to ensure that the flights approaching Ghana come in and land safely. How do you ensure all of this? Because you need the right mindset to do all of that.
Yes, and that is part of our training. Yes, before you come in, you must make sure you are sound. You can't bring problems at home to this job. There's no room for mistake for that one. Yeah. So even if you come in and you feel you are not well, you can report to your senior. Normally you have watch managers, and he has to relieve you. Yeah. So all the sectors, the units, like you mentioned, we have there is a control tower now. We have the approach units and the area control unit, and you have people manning all this 24/7. Yes. So at any point you have a manager in charge. So he sees to it that every sector is well manned and all those they are sound. So that is what they ensure.
What happens should there be an emergency? For example, I can see one man working here. For example, if he's left alone and he suffers an emergency and he passes out, what happens to the flights that are coming in or going out?
We wish that never happens, but we are never left alone at any point. A minimum of 2 at every point. So like you said, anything can happen anytime, and there should be someone to take charge in case something like that happens.
I've traveled before. I see the planes taxi, go up, and then the other go to the left or go to the right. But then they'll have to turn on the sea. Why is that so?
So they'll have to turn on the sea. Well, it depends on the direction of flight or departure. Like what we have in Ghana here, most part of the year, we have a direction towards the sea, as you've said. But depending on whichever destination, we may have to turn left or right. So as we sit here, for now, if you have any departure to Abidjan, once it departs, you may have to turn right after a distance after the departure. Turn right onto its route. If it's to Lagos, you may have to turn left. So our procedure here now is that if it's going to Lagos, it departs on the runway. It has to go 4 nautical miles. We have something, one of our facilities, the VOR. It is combined, there's a machine attached to it called a DME, distance measuring equipment, so VOR DME. So once it departs, 4 nautical miles off that facility, if it's to Lagos, it may have to turn left. If it's to Abidjan, 6 nautical miles after that, from that facility, it may have to turn right. So that is what we mean by the left or the right onto the sea. Yes, if it's going out, say JFK, wherever, it depends on the routing. It will have to turn left or right onto its routing. So they have their air routes on which they fly, just like you have routes on roads on ground where we take to our various destinations, say Kumasi, Tamale. It's the same thing they have in the air. So they use their air routes and then they fly.
I want to dwell more on the air routes. How does that work? Because on the streets, you realize that you have your markings and you know which lanes to tow and which lanes not to tow. Up in the air, you don't see any clearly demarcated lines. How does it work out?
Yeah, we have equipment mounted on ground and they use their radio waves. Like you have Joy FM. At a point en route to say Kumasi, I may lose Joy, but I may be hooked on to another radio station. Yeah, so that is how it is. So from one ground aid to the next. So we have this mapped along the routes, the air routes, as I said. So like I said, from here to Kumasi, Tamale, you have these nav aids mounted, and it's picked at their radio waves, and the pilots pick them as they approach. So at a point, Accra will have to hand it over to Tamale. Tamale frequency, Tamale Tower takes care from there. So we have our points, just like I described earlier, where you have handing over at a boundary to Abidjan. The same way at a point, you have to hand it over to Tamale for them to take control. That is for the local flights.
What it means is that right from when you take off to when you land, you are in constant communication with the pilots.
Yes, and we make sure communication does not break. Here, it's purely communication.
And if it breaks, what happens?
If it breaks, we have our emergency procedures that we take. Yes, we have that for the pilots and that for the controllers. If it breaks, then we have to, now we are lucky we have mobile phones, and if it gets to that emergency level, we can even use our mobile phones.
So how come we hear stories of planes getting lost in the air?
Wow, that is a different area altogether. You know, we went down there, we have radar, and depending on the situation, getting missing from the radar, a lot of things may have happened. Yeah, not really. You may have the equipment on the aircraft which make sure the readings come up having defects and may go off. Like we have here too, sometimes you have aircraft flying and you may lose it on the radar. So you have to tell the pilot to reset. Sometimes not that the equipment is faulty, but one or two things can cause for you to lose a radar contact. So here you can even contact the pilot to reset. He resets and you can get it back. So a lot of things come in. It may happen that, like I said earlier, some of the equipment may have gone off, and therefore we can't get the real position of the aircraft.
Can a pilot deliberately go off the radar?
Yeah, he can switch off the equipment. Yeah.
And what happens then?
Going off the radar per se is not a big deal. But depending on the traffic situation at that time, if the traffic is so dense, and I'm not sure any pilot worth his salt will do that. Does it mean you want to get lost? You don't want to be seen, to be controlled? No. So that may not come. That may come if only the equipment is faulty. But a pilot worth his salt deliberately switching off an equipment, no. He himself may not be safe.
Right. So let's talk about the intervals between when a flight takes off and when another lands, or more like, can we have two flights taking off at the same time?
No, you have one at a time, one landing, one arrival, all at a time. You can have 6 aircraft on ground ready to depart. One will have to depart, and then the other will follow.
What is the time intervals, the time difference?
It's on the type of aircraft that you are handling. If you have very big jets, and you have another one following, say a very small and medium aircraft, you have a time of 3 minutes, because we have something we call wake turbulence. Yes, so you need to wait for that. So after 3 minutes, you can depart that medium aircraft.
So if you have, let's say,
if it are 2 large aircraft, 2 minutes is okay. But small following a large aircraft, it's 3 minutes interval.
Can 2 aircraft go on the same length at the same time?
Length in what?
For example, if I'm heading towards Heathrow, and this is Emirates, then we have Ethiopian Airlines also going towards towards Heathrow. Can all of us take off? As in, when I take off, how long should it take the other one to take off?
Like I said, we have time. So if it's about after the 3 minutes, the other one can take off. But mind you, they are going to be on the same route, because you said they are all going to Heathrow. So if it's from Accra, then they are all going to be on the same routes. I, as a controller, will have to ensure that they are not put on the same level. And even if they are going to be put on the same level, I must ensure some distance. But that we don't really do. We should ensure that they should be at different levels. So like you just mentioned, if it's for Heathrow, from Accra, we may have to go at an odd level. Let's say flight level 350, flight level 330. I may have to put the first aircraft at a higher level, say flight level 350. If the second aircraft requests flight level 370, I'll have to give it an initial level of 330 below the 350, just to ensure that then once they are airborne, and then there it is handed over to the area control. He can check their speeds, because it's possible even the one behind may be faster. So that is why we come in with our techniques. He has to turn one left or right to do that he can go off and then climb over the other. Or you have to maintain the different levels, as I said. So for same level flights, hardly does it happen, unless we are very sure that the distance is okay.
But is that dependent on you, or dependent on the pilot? For example, if I'm a pilot and want to fly at flight level 370 based on my speed, why would you want to deter me and say I should do 330?
Yeah, like the traffic situation. Like you just mentioned, you are all going to Heathrow. I cannot put all of you on flight level 330. One has to be up, one has to be down. That's the simplest and the safest way I'll have to do. So it's not always about the pilots. First, I'll have to ensure the safety of the aircraft in the air. So the pilot can request, but depending on my traffic situation, I have to take control. That is why we are controllers.
What would you do if let's say you say, no, ET fly at 370, that Turkish fly at 350, and then Turkish thinks that, no, I want to do 370. So he flouts your rules.
He cannot. The point is that the instruction will come. Due traffic A or B, climb initial level 330. All right? So you are restricted to that level, and the controller will have to see that the situation is safe for you to even go higher, like you said. So it's not a matter of you forcing your way through, no.
The work entails a lot. Do you have the numbers to do this?
Yes, for now we have. And in every area, people age and they go out. So yes, for now it is okay. But in the next few years, we may have to take in more people to take over.
So, Tamale, for instance, we hear talks of Tamale being an international airport. What it means is that you'll have to hire some more people to take charge of Tamale.
Yes, but we haven't gotten to that point yet because international airport means a lot. You need the immigration, security.
But we had a flight flying to Mecca.
Special arrangements, yeah, from those are special arrangements for special times. But beyond that, then we have to do the other things that might come in. So in that case, like I said, a lot of things will have to come in for it to be called an international airport. That's all I have to say.
Are we there yet?
You mean Tamale?
Yes.
We are getting there. Not there yet, but we are getting there. Because we need to get the infrastructure and the personnel.
So, for example, that flight that took off to Mecca for the Hajj, who controlled it from here or from there?
Tamale control tower departs it as we are here. But once it departs, the control center takes care of it, so it's controlled from Accra.
But you are at different places?
Yes. This is the control center where we went. It's the main control area. So like I said, if it's an international flight, at a level it is handed over to the control center, where the area controller takes care of it. So it's handed over to the neighboring country, whichever area it is. So Mecca, it was towards Lagos, so it will be handed over to Lagos.
There are rumors that when that flight took off, it had to come down to Accra to continue its journey. Is it true?
I don't know of anything like that, but if it's so, that may have been technical, maybe to refuel or something, but not that it cannot go. Yeah, those are special, as I said, for that period, there was a special arrangement meant for that.
So when Tamale becomes an international airport, can we have two flights landing in Ghana at the same time because of the distance?
Yes, it's always possible. Two international flights. Yeah, because they will have the area of control. There, in that case, a new set of procedures will have to be written between Accra and Tamale. That if that also becomes an international airport, so a new set of rules will be written. You just don't jump into it. There are a whole lot of things coming. The control.
How long will it take us to get to that international status?
That depends on the way the project is going. If the infrastructure is ready, the personnel are trained to get there, then we are in business. I think the customs, like I said, the security, immigration, they all have to have their posts. So once all those things, and that depends on those in charge, how fast they can get it done.
But as it stands now, it means that should it become international airport, they need to get some experience hands from here to Tamale to take over, right?
Yes.
Which means that you can understand.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, when we are getting there, we will need to train more people to get. Currently, we have some of our people there, but when it gets to that international level,